What's up guys, it's Aaronitmar. You guys seem to be enjoying the videos that I've made both about the true leaks that have happened for Smash and the false hoaxes when it comes to different games, and so today I want to talk about the biggest hoax in all of Smash 4's history, the Rayman hoax. This hoax absolutely rivals the scope and the detail of the Grinch leak for Smash Ultimate, but the difference with the Rayman DLC hoax is that the artist came forward and not only revealed that this was fake, but they went into detail on how and why it was done. Before I start, on a quick personal note, I want to thank you guys for being patient with the lack of content since the new year rolled over. I got my wisdom teeth removed pretty much right after the new year, and so I have been recovering from that, and I've only just been able to feel comfortable with actually being able to, project and commentate. So that's why there hasn't been any content. I literally had bones removed from my face. But my recovery is all done, and so now we can jump straight back into more content. So first, let's start with the beginning of the leak. In February 2015, multiple images were uploaded onto 4chan claiming that Rayman was going to be a downloadable fighter in Smash 4. This post was done after the confirmation that Mewtwo would be returning to Smash as a DLC fighter, so many people reasonably and correctly assumed that more DLC characters would be coming after Mewtwo, and this leak took advantage of that assumption. These images were the unlocked splash art that Rayman has and that every character has, his portrait on the character select screen, and a close-up of the character select icons. The last one is the most interesting of these images because it shows Mewtwo at the end of the Pokemon characters and Rayman next to the third-party characters. Later in the thread, the 3DS version's roster was also shown with Mewtwo and Rayman in similar spots as the Wii U version, but Artsy Omni has said that he did not post this and apparently it came from some third-party source. There was also a screenshot of the main menu which showed a new shop icon towards the bottom, which at the time was a seemingly new addition. Now, of course, these images were combed over, and any detail, any flaw that could indicate that they were false was looked for, which of course happens with literally any leak, both fake and real. But the biggest red herring of all was, of course, what was posted just after, which was a link to a YouTube video which had footage of the player cursor moving across the character select screen and hovering over Rayman. And this is really what seemed to convince a ton of people that this was real. Now, people of course scrutinized this video as well, looking at very tiny details such as the background that loops or the fact that whoever filmed this didn't actually select Rayman, which of course would have been a very easy way to avoid the fact that there is no Rayman announcer call in the game, and so that was kind of the two big pieces of evidence that any naysayers had. But by and large, I think most people are willing to admit that this really sold them on the idea that this could potentially be very real. First off, the render was entirely original, and it didn't even seem to be slightly similar to other Rayman art at the time, so there wasn't really a solid argument that it was just a really good Photoshop. A lot of times, fake leakers will take pre-existing art and sort of smashify it that way, but this was a completely original pose. The fact that Rayman was also apparently a DLC character also lined up with an assumed slip-up by a Nintendo rep who said that Rayman was going to be in the game.
Rayman and a whole bunch of others.
Additionally, very rarely do leaks have video footage attached to them, because assuming that they don't want to get caught, a picture is far faster and it still gets the point across. But having video was something that was just so rare, and it is still rare to this day, and with nothing so obviously off to immediately draw suspicion, a large portion of the community believed that this was real, until the video was taken down. Now, usually when a video is taken down for a leak, it's considered a good thing. Most people would agree that the video being removed was some kind of admission of guilt in some way, basically proving that it was real and it needed to be removed because they needed to suppress the leak. The problem is, the video wasn't taken down by Nintendo like other real leaks. When true leaks are taken down, they'll be removed by Nintendo in a copyright claim, and the video page will say that. But this video was simply taken down by the user, either made private or just completely deleted, but that itself is suspicious. And then of course, we got the big news drop. Through all of the discussion, the analysis, the speculation, we were told that this was completely fake, And what's more, it was a publicity stunt by an artist named Artsy Omni as a way to advertise for his new series, Smashified. Artsy Omni released several videos detailing the creation of both the Rayman art as well as the leak itself. First, his motivation for creating the leak, aside from using it to launch his Smashified series, is truly that he wanted Etika to cover it. He had watched Etika's videos prior, and at the time, Etika was one of the biggest creators covering Smash news and Smash leaks, and Omni had seen some of the fake leaks covered by Etika, and he thought that he had the skills to make a far more convincing leak that could end up on Etika's channel, which it ended up doing. But he was completely blown away by how far across the internet his leak went. He completely did not expect it, but a ton of major gaming news outlets covered it, as well as countless YouTubers, discussion boards, forums, and thousands of tweets. But this wasn't Omni's first foray into the world of fake leaks. He actually did one earlier in Smash 4's life cycle, during the lead up to the game's release, when we were still in the dark about the game's full base roster. Omni made a fake render in a very similar format to the Rayman leak for Klonoa, the main character of the game series, Klonoa. This Klonoa render was just as high quality as the Rayman render, and the claim this time around was that files from non-English versions of the website were accidentally put on the server prematurely and quickly taken down after somebody grabbed them. And just like with Rayman, everything seemed pretty convincing, but the issue was actually with some Japanese text. One of the images has Japanese text on it, and the text wasn't changed from the original files that this hoax was based on, and so the Japanese text actually says Ike rather than Klonoa, and this was immediately pointed out and completely debunked. However, Omni took what he learned from the Klonoa leak and made sure that every last detail was as accurate as possible. After the Rayman render was created, the first thing Omni did was capture footage from the game that would serve as a template for him browsing through the menus and loading up the character select screen. He broke up all of the essentials, the cursor, the icon shuffling into place, and he added 2 extra slots, one for Rayman and the other for Mewtwo. He also needed to create a new Mewtwo icon, but he only needed to make a small portrait for this part because he wasn't showing a full Mewtwo render. So he took the existing model for Mewtwo that already exists in the game as a trophy, and he did some touch-up on it, giving it the same coloration and giving it other minor details so that it would match the model that was shown off in the reveal for Mewtwo. This was an important detail because, as I said, Mewtwo was already a confirmed DLC, so it would stand to reason that the first DLC character would already be on the character select screen in a leak for the second DLC character. The hardest part seemed to be making the background because he didn't have the full thing, so he really needed to just patch together the pattern as best he could. Of course, if this had been made even a year later, we would have had access to this file thanks to modding, and it would be much easier to make this happen. But him patching it together like this makes it all the more impressive since it was all Photoshop and After Effects manipulation. But it wasn't entirely perfect, and Omni points out that the background isn't exactly seamless in the final version. But for the sake of the fake leak, it was passable, as it's hard to notice in the first place, and footage being filmed on a cell phone in poor lighting is going to help cover up any of those tiny flaws. Lastly, he simply had to piece together some of the smaller details, the series icon, the speed lines that move with the actual render on the player card, and the reaction to the icons and the cursor. Honestly, looking back at this hoax, I have to say that had he not come forward within a day to state that this was his work, I would have believed it all the way until it was undeniably proven false by none other than Nintendo. I mean, that's just how convinced I was that this was real. Everything seemed official, and between the photos and the video, it just screamed legit. Of course, that was the whole point of this leak, to make it so convincing that the community at large believes it, so even now I say job well done because it definitely hit the mark. And I think the Klonoa leak aspect makes it even more interesting. Despite that being denied almost immediately, it made Omni pay attention to such fine detail that no matter how you would look at it, unless you noticed exactly the 1 or 2 tiny flaws, you would believe that it was real at first glance. And unlike the Grinch leak, rather than relying on fuzzy photos and real-world circumstantial evidence that I'm still not even sure was planned, this hoax really thrived on being as accurate as possible to convince people. But unfortunately, both of these leaks broke our hearts. But Klonoa and Rayman aren't the only 2 fake Smash renders because, as I said, this was the launch of a whole YouTube series called Smashified, and the channel has assembled a whole bunch of really talented people to make 26 new Smash characters, other trophies, and songs. The channel itself has also evolved into Curiomatic, a channel all about different aspects of game design. 3D model sculpts, music, fonts, remasters, it really covers a whole variety of topics. It's honestly really cool to see. I'm super impressed by everything that's on there. More and more I've been appreciating indie developers, both on a games front and in art and creation as a whole, and Smashified and Curiomatic really praise this aspect of creativity, which I love. But I would love to know what you guys thought about this hoax. If you were around during the Smash 4 days, did you see this leak? Did you believe it, or were you a doubter? And if you weren't around during this time, what do you think of this hoax? I want you to be objective here and be honest, okay? Do you think that it would have convinced you if you had seen it and before you knew it was fake? Do you think that you would have thought Rayman was coming to Smash? Or do you think you would have seen through Omni's clever ruse? Like I said, I believed it to be real, so there's no shame in admitting that you thought it was real because it was super convincing. So I'd love to know all of your thoughts down in the comments below. That's gonna do it for this video, you guys. If you enjoyed, please be sure to hit the like button, and if you're new, please be sure to subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Peace out, and I hope you have an awesome day.